Okay, we're going to call our meeting to order and welcome everybody here this evening. Our city clerk, Melissa, will take a roll call for this evening.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Commissioner Maxon.
Here.
Commissioner York.
Here.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Here.
Mayor Van Oster.
Here. We will now move on to our invocation, which we have this evening Pastor Kevin O'Connor of the Agape Fellowship Church, and he will lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening, Lord. Thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight. Lord, we thank you for our leaders. Lord, we ask that you would lead them, that you would guide them, that you would instruct them, Lord, that they would do the very best for our city, and we trust you with them. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, we will now move on to review our agenda. We do have one item to bring up. We're going to we need to move to approve the amended agenda to remove new business item number 6 that was on our previous agenda that was put out last Friday. So we need to have that removed, and is there anything else? Anybody else has to amend? Okay. I'll make a motion to remove new business item number 6 from our current agenda.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve the amended agenda to remove new business item number 6 from the agenda. Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Moving on to our consent agenda, we have number 1, the City Commission meeting minutes from Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. We have Resolution R-21-14, which is a resolution to approve a supplemental bond agreement for the Neal Hotel. And we also have 2021 Appropriation Ordinance number AO-21-05 in the amount of $914,685.11. Do we have any discussion?
I'll just go through some of the highlights. So of the $914,000 on this appropriation ordinance, $390,000 were payroll. We had $27,000 for the Black Start engines. That was for, we ran those during the power shortage time. And that also contributed to about $10,000 in diesel fuel charges too. Then we had healthcare premiums for $40,000, and we had healthcare claims for $156,000. Then some tree trimming for $10,000. We had a couple $10,000 ones. Other than that, it was just basic maintenance on keeping things running around the city. If I missed anything.
Department of Revenue, there was $44,000
Yep.
in taxes paid to the Department of Revenue.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. Anything else? Does anybody have any questions over the supplemental bond agreement for the new hotel? That's just some housekeeping, I think, there.
None other questions, I'll move to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented.
No, second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Commissioner Maxon to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Next item on our agenda is comments from the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized. Please advance to the podium, state his or her name and address for the record. Our comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects that are not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Do we have anybody that would like to say anything? Yes, sir.
Mrs. Mayor, members of the commission, I'm Jerry Cook, the manager of Customer Support Services for the Grand River Dam Authority. Just very briefly, I want to thank you and the leadership in this community and our close working relationship and partnership with Mike Shook. The event that occurred in February that impacted 14 states was managed very closely in our area, in our region, by our work with SPP, our GRDA team, and communities like Coffeyville. The fact that you were able to coordinate and work with the community on the curtailment of power, many of the businesses volunteering to cut back and close, your industries willing to sacrifice power so we could keep the entire grid sustainable. It was a very serious situation. At GRDA in 80 years, we've never experienced anything like this. But with teamwork and with partnerships and with the relationship we have in a community like Coffeyville, I wanted to come tonight on behalf of our entire team to thank you for that type of leadership. You're very blessed. Mike Shook is a highly respected professional in the energy business. We call on him often. And during this event, we call it the Winter Vortex. On many occasions, we were calling Mike for his suggestions, his guidance, his input, along with his entire team. So thank you, Mayor Van Oster and commissioners, for supporting us, supplying us that resource in Mike and others, and also for stepping up and partnering with GRDA. And at any time we can return the favor, we'll be here for you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you,
Much,
Mr.
much
Cook.
appreciated.
Can we give Mike a round of applause?
Yes.
Maybe a Mike Shook game.
That we'll work on that.
I
We'll
was
work on
wondering if he
that.
could come up for a picture.
No, he won't.
He's gonna exit out that door.
Yeah, I will. And in to what brought into what Mr. Cook brought about the businesses, was either the first of last week or the end of the week before. The Coffeyville Municipal Light and Power had put on several posts about recognizing all the businesses that contributed to help maintain the grid by either closing, cutting back their hours, turning down their thermostats, operating with no lights, etc. And so they do mention on there to remember those businesses when you need to shop or do something. And they really mean it, because I know that Mike and the crews really appreciate that, and very much. And it's wonderful to have that happen in Coffeyville, in your community.
Mayor, I would also like to commend Mr. Cook and GRDA for the partnership, because it is an important partnership for both entities. And thank you to GRDA for all you do for our community as
Yes.
well. So.
Very much appreciated. Yes, yes. Okay, is there anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to our regular agenda items. The first item we fall under is either public hearing, special presentation, or proclamations. And tonight we do have a special presentation. This will be given by the Midland Theater, their update and presentation on what's been going on. And Peggy Steele will give that for us. So Peggy? Okay.
Mr. Ordolani.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having us. And my name's Brent Ortolani. I was born and raised here in Coffeyville. 1982 graduate of Field Kinley, 1984 from Coffeyville Community College. And since then I've lived in Tulsa, and I'm recently retired. So you have to beware of those recently retired people. We tend to get involved in the community, whether our help is wanted or not. But I'm hardly the most influential or hard-working member of this board. We have several members of our Midland Theater Foundation board with us tonight, including our chair, Daryl Harbaugh, who's not only our leader, but he's the guy down there mopping up the water when the pipes break with the net's help. Of course, we have Peggy Steele, Haley Bagwell, our former chair, Dr. Ron Bryce from Dallas, Jim Criswell, and I think, am I missing anybody? Well, we just wanted to give you a quick update of the Midland project, which has been going on for quite some time, but I think we're starting to get a lot of momentum. Actually, COVID kind of worked in our favor because it gave us a chance to step back and get all of our ducks in a row. And we're currently embarking on a pretty aggressive fundraising project, which Peggy will tell you about in a moment. But I just wanted to give you a quick story, and I promise I'll be brief. So I've lived in Tulsa for 35 years now, working at the University of Tulsa and Tulsa Area United Way. And I imagine some of you are familiar with the new arts district just north of downtown Tulsa. About 10 years ago, well, even less than that, 7 years ago, it was a completely abandoned warehouse district. And now more than $2 billion has been invested in that area. And we've got everything there from restaurants to music venues, 4 new museums opening in 2022. And if you think of Tulsa as an oil and gas city, which it certainly was in the 20th century, we're staking our future in Tulsa in the 21st century on music. And that $2 billion of investment that I mentioned, which came from corporations, Devon Energy's building a new headquarters tower there, both from the public and private sector. It has transformed the city of Tulsa, and not only that, it's boosted the morale. It's made all of us a little more confident in our city and our place in competing with our peer cities, and we've experienced a lot of growth. It's just been an amazing transformation, but it can all be traced back to a theater. The only thing that was there when all of this development began was the Cain's Ballroom. Some of you may be familiar with the Cain's Ballroom or attended a concert there. So we've got a theater here. Of course, Cain's is primarily a music theater, but architecturally or physically speaking, Cain's Theater is nowhere near as attractive or interesting as the Midland. So I guess the one point I want to make before I turn it over to Peggy is that we view this not necessarily as renovating an old building, but we view it in terms of economic development, because I really think that the arts can do a lot for this community, not for our young people, but we really think it can be a spark for downtown redevelopment, pride in the community, and there's nothing else like the Midland. It's quite a building. I worked there when I was in college at KU during the summers as a projectionist, as did Daryl. So we just want to bring you up to date and let you know what's going on, and we've got some exciting plans. And so I'll turn it over to Peggy Steele, who needs no introduction.
Well, one of the things that I'm curious about from the commission is, so you're elected officials and you're out in the community and you have jobs. Do you ever get people giving their opinions to you because you're a commissioner? Or
Never.
do you get feedback?
Nope.
You don't get any of that?
Don't know what you're talking about.
I suspect you get more than you can imagine. And so I start this with 3 questions. And Chris can put the presentation up if he wants to. What you see there is, it's our mission, and we're proud of that. It's a broad mission, and it really fits where we're going as a community center and an economic development center. So, do I press this, Chris? Okay, thank you. That's why it's here, so okay. Okay, I press the little middle button, right? Okay, thank you. Let me see if I can do it. If not, I'll have you do it. I'm not very technical. Okay, so when you think about your job and you think about your role here in Coffeyville, if you had to answer what may be the only issue in Coffeyville that most people agree on, other than taxes, okay? So really think about your experience. What might be the only issue that most people agree on? Well, I'll tell you what we find is that I'm going to need Brett to turn these because this is not working.
There you
There
go.
we go.
We need to get the Midland open. Everybody asks that question in their own way, even people who didn't grow up here and have the great memories. And so what we've done is we've stepped back, as Brett said, and we're looking at the plan, and we're saying, how can we do that? Because, as you know, it's quite a comprehensive project. So we're using a 6-project plan, and we're using the fund, build, use strategy, which means now that the first project is complete, and it's complete, it's paid for, it's great, which is secure the shell, we go on to project 2, which is the front of the house. And once we complete the front of the house, we will be able to work toward our goal, having people in the Midland after each project, because our goal is to finish it for our 100th anniversary. And to do that, we want to finish it by mid-2027. Sounds like a long ways away, but you know, it's not. It'll be here before you know it. The great thing about this 6-project plan is that after each project, 2 through 6, we go in, we use another part of the Midland, we get programs going, we get excitement going, we get engagement going, and we get revenue streams going. So these are the projects. But secure the shell's done. We've proven we can do it. It's paid for. It's exciting, safe. Front of the house is what we're going to talk about tonight briefly. The backstage is the next project. We have a plan for that. We're already getting funding for that. The white box really is the basic interior needed to complete the event center so it's usable. Not fancy, but clean, neat, perfectly presentable. And then finally, we're going to go back and complete the house because that's the biggest part of all of this. And the house is really where people sit. So you can see even up to doing that, we have 3 areas we'll be able to use. And then finally the finishes. And the finishes is like the master punch list, really upscale. So we know that that is a plan that works for the community. People are excited about it. So tonight we're going to look at Project 2. That's what we really want you to be behind. And when we finish Project 2, and we believe we can do that 6 months after we get funding, we're going to have a lobby. We're going to have the ballroom. And I don't know if do y'all remember the ballroom? I mean, it's wonderful. Some people don't even remember it. We can have 70, 80 people in the ballroom. We'll have the beautiful grand stairways, concession area. Everybody remembers the concession area. And then we'll take the 2 restrooms and make them into family ADA restrooms. So it's a pretty big project. It's an important project. So just to show how important it is, we've got a little 3-minute video that we're going to show.
Someday I wish clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like lemon drops. High above the chimney top, that's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can't I? Oh, someday wish upon a star. Wake up when the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like a lemon drop. High above the chimney top, that's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dream that you dare to, oh why can't I?
So, in doing research to really look at, are we just kidding ourselves? Is it economic development? Just, is that really what it is? It's amazing what's happened in the last decade with arts organizations and as well as municipalities looking at what can be brought in. And one of the things I was struck by was the work that was done in Oklahoma with the small towns under 15,000 people. And a lot of it's anecdotal, but time after time, people who were leaders in these communities said the big thing was opening up a theater or a theatrical center or an entertainment center. And so you can see that those kinds of things really do matter. One of the people that we talked to was the chairman of the Oklahoma American Bankers Association. I don't know if you've had much experience with bankers, but they tend not to exaggerate. So they really backed the work that was being done in these small towns. Also, we interviewed executives at some of our corporations here in Coffeyville. And again, there are meetings taking place, but they're not taking place here. They go to Bartlesville, the Booth Hotel, sometimes Tulsa. We need to leverage that. There's another trend called cultural tourism. I'll be talking about that to the chamber, but huge trend that's occurring where people follow the culture. And with the Ant Trail between Branson, Bentonville, and Pawhuska, we have a great opportunity to attract people on that trail back into Coffeyville. We just talked to the gentleman in charge of historic Route 66, and he talked about how people will go 100 miles off of Route 66. We're 50 minutes away from there. We have all kinds of opportunities. So sometimes we forget our assets. We're going to have an 800-seat theater. 800 seats, that's big. We're going to be able to seat 330 people in the event center. We can open it up. We can do it in thirds. We'll have a ballroom that seats 60 plus and all kinds of other spaces where people can mix and mingle. It's a tremendous asset. The work done by the research group from Chapel Hill, Small Towns, Big Ideas. Again, it comes back to, what worked in these towns of less than 15,000 that thrived. The leadership was proactive, future-oriented, assumed risk, and embraced change. So that's what we're looking to do here. And we're asking you as a commission to be part of that. So the question 2, really when you think about it and you think about the assets we have, you think about our community, you think about where we are as a town, how long can we afford to let that asset be empty? We have to do something. The plan we've put into place will get it open. We could have it open by the end of the year if we get the funding for Project 2. That would be a miracle. It would change everything. It's pivotal. So we're looking to talk to, and we're working with the whole community. One of the things we found from the grants that are out there, and there are grants out there, but they won't fund us unless we show broad and deep support from our community, and that starts right here in this room. It's really important. So what we're asking for you is, this is more than just an information session. We really want you to look at demonstrating your support through economic development funding. Our project is $220,000 for the front of the house. A 20/80 rule is a nice general rule that a lot of municipalities use. In this case, that would be $44,000. If you went for a respectable portion, that would be $22,000 or 10%. And we're asking for charter participation from individuals and businesses at $10,000. And right now we have commitments of over $100,000 of that $220,000. And we have other people who are on the fence. So we really want to close on that $220,000 by the 1st of April. So question 3 for you, which level of support is appropriate? You know, you really have to look at it. We're at a pivotal point. We're either going to do this now, or it's not going to happen for the Midland at all. Any questions?
Vicki, could I join you and make one more point?
Yes.
Before we wrap up? We've been talking to a lot of foundations in Oklahoma and in Kansas, and we're hearing the same thing over and over. There's interest there, and but they want to see more local support, which is one reason we're coming to you here tonight. Peggy's done a great job, as she mentioned, in attracting at least $100,000 recently in pledges. Another example I talked about Tulsa is Bentonville and the 2 world-class museums that have opened there. Of course, there's Walmart money there. I'm not talking about resources, but more about outcomes, the arts education in that area. And there are disadvantaged residents and young people in that area as well. We think of it as affluent, but it's really provided a boost to that community economically, culturally, in every way. And, you know, at Walmart, obviously the Walton family gave a high 7-figure gift to that project, but the second lead donor, who also gave a 7-figure gift, is the Walker Foundation out of Fayetteville. Mr. and Mrs. Walker are from Coffeyville, and you may remember them. They're deceased now, but their adult children run the foundation. So we're submitting a proposal to the Walker Foundation in August. It's not a certainty, but we are asking individuals, companies, you, for gifts here in Coffeyville. But we hope to attract quite a bit of funding from outside of Coffeyville, and I think we're going to be successful.
Yeah, and they do. They said, what's the number you can give us for local support? And so that's where we start. We're pleased with the response, and we want you to be part of that. We know you want to. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
Nope.
Okay. We will move on to new business. Our discussion and action to make an appointment to the Recreation Commission. And I think the only applicant that we had, he is here this evening, Alan Gillis. And so if you'd like to come up and say anything about I know you've been on the board, but why and so forth, so that everybody else knows too.
Sure. Dr. Alan Gillis, and I live in Northbrook Addition. Been in family practice about 43 years, and I retired a couple of years ago, and I want to do something to help the community. I've always been interested in sports and sporting activities, and it seems like my grandkids and so many children now are so involved in video games, the iPads, and we don't have the participation. When I first came to Coffeyville, we had 3 adult softball teams, or little league teams. I mean, there are so many activities for our young people to do, and our adults to do too. And over the years in practicing medicine, I've seen what happens when people don't exercise, don't take good care of themselves, make poor lifestyle changes, they don't drink, smoke. And I think if we can get our young people to be more involved in sporting activities and recreation, I think it'd make our community better as a whole. So very fortunate to have David Raines as our leader, and he's done a fabulous job. But I really wanted to participate and felt like I could contribute some to maybe add some new programs to the commission and try to get more people involved. And I know our numbers with the COVID has certainly dropped over the last 6 months to a year. But my main desire is just to help the community and help our young people be involved in exercise and recreation. I think it will serve our community well long term. Any
Good.
questions?
No.
No.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gillis.
Thank you.
very much. If there's no other discussion, I move to appoint Dr. Alan Gillis to the Recreation Commission for a term expiring March 10th, 2025.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Bauer to appoint Alan Gillis to the Recreation Commission for a term expiring March 10th, 2025. Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Yes, thank
Dr.
you.
Gillis, for serving. We appreciate it. Okay, our next item on the agenda is Ordinance S-21-01, which is an ordinance to rezone 401 and 403 South Willow from a multifamily residential district to service commercial group. Our building official, Mr. Matt Conger, will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Last Tuesday, the Planning and Zoning Commission met to discuss the rezoning of 401 and 403 South Willow for the purpose of making a paved off-street parking lot, about around 12,000 square feet. They voted to approve it. I'd be happy to answer any questions. There's also Mark Mullis here, representative of the church, if you have any questions for him.
Does anybody have any
I don't have
questions?
any questions. It looks like a nice improvement to that
Yeah,
corner. so-
I agree.
It's needed parking for sure.
Absolutely.
And yes.
Yeah, get off the street parking.
Yes. Mark, did you want to talk to us?
Come on, Mark.
I ain't talked to you in a while. I got to invite you up.
I'm Mark Muller, 177 8000 Road, and just a member of the parish, been involved in the project up to this point, and it will be hard surface. I'm not on the finance and building committee, but they're in the process of drawing up a scope of work to put it out for bids. They got some budget numbers in the fall and have some funds secured to make sure that it is either asphalt or concrete in the future. But I'm here, as I said, just to answer any questions if you have any. Thank
I
you.
don't have any. I was just picking on you. Thank you, Mark.
We just didn't want you to feel like you came up here for nothing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll move to approve ordinance S-21-01 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Maxon, seconded by Commissioner York to approve ordinance S-21-01 as presented. Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
I am not against the project, but I am going to abstain, as that is my parish also. So, don't want to do anything to jeopardize anything for either party.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Muller.
Okay, our next item is Resolution R-21-15, which is a resolution to authorize the execution of agreements for health and life, accident, death, and dismemberment insurance coverage for the city employees. Our Human Resources Director, Allison Pryor, will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The City of Coffeyville Health Insurance Plan is a self-funded plan which provides more potential cost savings, plan control, and plan design flexibility. The plan is funded by deposits made into the city's risk management fund by the city in an amount negotiated with the bargaining units, as well as monthly premiums paid by each participating employee. Self-funded plans differ from fully funded insurance plans in that plan years where claim expenditures are less than the city employees' contributions, the plan gets to retain those extra funds and carry that forward into the next plan year. This helps to offset cost increases. With a fully funded plan, the insurance carrier collects all the premiums. If the plan has a good year, then the insurance carrier benefits from those remaining dollars. In a self-funded plan, the fixed costs for purchase of stop-loss coverage and administrative fees are the only opportunity to pursue competitive pricing for service. The claims paid by the plan reflect the employee's actual medical claims costs and represent the largest part of the plan costs. Benefit Health Advisors quoted our insurance plan with 7 stop-loss carriers, and the lowest cost option shown on the healthcare insurance analysis spreadsheet is attached to your agenda packet. The lowest maximum healthcare cost was from the IOA Re quote. The plan design for the upcoming year will continue to be through the Aetna network with no changes to the employee's deductibles, coinsurance, or prescription copays. We will continue the dental plan with Delta Dental also as a self-insured plan. This proposal results in an unfunded amount of $67,336 for the plan year. As a special note, the City of Coffeyville offers health insurance coverage to city employees, city retirees if they choose, and COBRA eligible employees or dependents if they choose. Retirees and COBRA eligible pay 100% of the premiums for those participating in the city's plan. In 2015, the Commission agreed to share a portion of the unfunded balance in the health insurance program, increasing the city's share from the negotiated $9,000 per budgeted employee to $9,165 per budgeted employee. The city's agreements with the 4 unions for this year kept the city's share at that same amount. 2 years ago, the Health Insurance Committee and unions agreed to raise the employee's share of health insurance costs. A single coverage policy increased by $4.50 a month, and family coverage increased by $40.50 a month. As you're aware, the City Commission approved the 2021 budget with no mill levy increase and no employee raises unless those were contractually obligated or promotional. The committee is requesting the Commission to consider pledging an increase to the city's share of health insurance costs by the unfunded amount of $67,336 if needed. We believe that there will be sufficient carryover from the 2021 plan year to offset the potential shortfall for this current plan year. The funds would be a one-time pledge and only transferred if needed during the plan year. If the unfunded balance is not pledged by the city, the employee share would then require an additional employee share increase for this current plan year. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to try to answer those for you.
So if we don't carry over the $67,336, we'll carry over whatever we have to?
We would cover the shortfall.
Okay.
If it's needed.
Yep.
It's only if
It's needed.
It retains, and you also did that last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Just asking the question.
It was 30-some thousand,
Yep.
and it was if needed.
Okay.
You did a really good job writing that paper up.
Yes, you did.
It's a lot of information.
That would not be me.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
Nope.
No question.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-21-15 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Bauer to approve Resolution R-21-15 as presented. Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is Ordinance G-21-01 and G-21-02 and Charter Ordinance Number 28 relating to the adoption of model building and construction codes. Our Director of Engineering, Mr. Thomas Osborne, will make our comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I have before you these 3 ordinances. They've kind of been a combination of several, about the past year in total, coming together to get these moving forward. In engineering services, we have, these are my goals, 2 primary goals. The second one is to have the best staff, most intelligent, most helpful as possible. Number one, safety for our citizens. Top priority. These ordinances are to help us meet those safety requirements. We've gone through the IBC, we've been IBC since 2000. This will be the first time we've updated these codes in 7 years. These codes go towards your insurance rating services, so everybody in the city has cost of homeowners insurance, rental insurance. The ISO rating affects those rates. This goes towards that. Our current codes are 2012 codes. They are going off of that, where there will no longer, it'll start affecting the ratepayers at that point. We have gone through all the family of codes. There's, I think there's 8 different books, or if not more, and gone through and made sure that these codes work for Coffeyville. There's certain things in the building codes, because it is an international building code, that really doesn't apply to Coffeyville's citizens. So we're not trying to make anything more difficult for citizens. We're just trying to make sure that whatever happens is safe. 2x4 still a 2x4. Still has the same tables have been in since the very beginning of codes for your span tables and everything. So those aren't changing. The only thing that's changing is new processes, new materials, and those bring those codes to be able to allow the citizens of Coffeyville to utilize these new improvements to potentially reduce costs in their structure or their project, and to improve this overall quality of life and safety of our citizens. So you should have received a book, the final draft, a copy to go through and review. This will require 2 readings. The first ordinance was G21-01, is for the myriad of building codes. So that's the International Building Code, the International Residential Code, let me find my index here, the electrical code, the plumbing code, mechanical code, fuel gas code. This year we're also changing from what we did have for code enforcement, which was our chapter 26. We're now incorporating that into the International Property Maintenance Code. We also have the existing building code, which helps with existing buildings, just how to put those new materials and new processes and be able to make them work with existing the existing buildings. Then we also are looking at the pool and spa code. Used to, a lot of the codes for that were built into the residential code or the International Building Code itself. As of 18's codes, we're looking at 2018 codes for this, changing from 2012 to 2018. In the 2018, they actually pulled those out of those individual, the building code and the residential code, and made their own code. So we've added that as well. This also creates a Building Safety Board of Appeals. So if somebody feels that, our interpretation of the code is wrong, or whatever they're doing is just as safe, we can be able to meet before that board. We'll be able to meet with ICC, get their recommendation on whatever's going on as well, and present that. And so that Board of Safety Appeals will be there to look and see, okay, what's the code read? Is it being met? Is it not being met? It is not a code review board versus where they would write code. This is strictly, this is what the code is. Does this meet code? Does this not meet code?
Thomas, who do you have in mind for that board? Do you have people
So the
picked out,
board, we do not have people picked out yet. The board is constructed of, I believe we changed that to 5 members, and they are all called out in Article 16 of the code booklet. These members would be largely, we would prefer to have the trades, so a mechanical, plumbing, electrical, and a general contractor, and a member at large. That's the ideal board.
So
but
would
if
they be subject to commission approval to serve on that
Yes,
board?
yep.
Okay.
That would be.
And as the board is basically being on call. not a requirement, or they're held to. You know, meet once a month or this. It is as needed, I'm sorry, as needed, the board will be called. And that's part of the commitment, but it gives them the flexibility that, you know, we can get something done in an answer to the question as quick as possible instead of saying that you might have to wait till next month or something like that. So that's the purpose of the board.
We went through, in making the code booklet, we went through all of our current codes. So as part of the first ordinance here that you're looking at to adopt, we are removing Chapter 26 of the Code of Ordinances. Chapter 26 was our nuisance and environmental code. That is part of the property maintenance code. However, a vast majority of the property maintenance code fits better in the building code with the rest of the building codes. That's why we made that change to kind of bring them together. We've gone through everything that's in that code and painstakingly made sure it's either covered under the property maintenance code or we brought it in as an amendment in the code booklet.
And these are the same codes that Paul and I set down with you guys?
Yes, there's been some slight wording changes here and there. There was one code that we did, I don't want to say add, it was there, but we significantly reworked the wording because we forgot a timeline on the temporary housing. So for like your temporary, if you want to set up a tent in your backyard for your kids or something like that, we forgot the timeline was not attached to that, so we got it attached. And I believe that was the only major code change that we had? So.
I will say, and also in the commission, that this will be a living document. We will have other things in the future to attach to it, and that is, you know, the protection of the community and insurance requirements from the businesses. I know you're aware of a situation where we had a fire and there was no insurance. It affected, you know, two buildings on either side. And that's a hardship that their insurance, which they purchased, will have to bear because there is no recourse unless there's something civil or taken to court. So it is one of those that these are things that we'll address in the future. I'm just plugging in that as we proceed down this road about housing, it is a requirement. And it is one of those, and I think the commissioner York said that everything is built to code. If we plan on working with HUD and USDA, which we do, these will be requirements, and they do. And USDA will do a quarterly review, and part of that is what codes are you using, the home selected, you know, is it to code that these people will be in? So this is necessary for the future of Coffeyville, but we hope to remedy with the least amount of pain situations in Coffeyville that we now have that'll make it stronger and better in the future.
I'd also comment, Mark, that I know Thomas and Matt both have put a tremendous amount of work into this. I mean, they've been studying these codes for probably over a year now. Thomas, is that accurate? Yeah. So it's not just a matter of flippant changing codes. I mean, there's been a lot of homework going to making this work right for everybody. So.
Then you've also got a note down here on your charter ordinance number 28. Can you kind of explain what that's going to change and be like?
Yes, so Charter Ordinance 28 affects both the other two ordinances. Charter Ordinance number 28, essentially, what it does is it provides where my code enforcement officers, me, my building official, if we have a problem and, you know, I'm not going to do it, we'll be able to issue what's called a notice to appear, NTA. We'll be able to issue those to where, okay, you're going to appear in court on this date, and we'll take it to the judge. It's just another tool in our belt to help speed the process along and make sure that we can take care of our citizens and keep everybody safe.
And we can ask We can't ask for law enforcement assistance on that.
Mhm.
But it does give to, basically, for a violation to write a ticket. It doesn't, it's not a guilty or innocent, it's just saying that will be settled by the court, and that's currently what our law enforcement does is they're not guilty or innocent. That is what the court decides. We just stop whatever is going on and let that court decide. So this will give them the power to do that on violations that they see.
Thomas, I did have a question on, under the ordinance 2102, on the fire codes.
Yes.
Section 2113. This is in regard to sprinkler systems, so it calls out a group M. Can you define what a group M is?
You said 21.
2113, 20-113.
20-113, okay. Yeah. I believe that's the, can't remember it off the top of my head. Do you remember what?
Mercantile?
So, yeah, your thrift store style shops and stuff like that, I believe, so.
Okay. All right.
These codes, you know, this is the first time we've updated them in 7 years. I know 7 years ago, they went through a lot of this very same process, and somehow we did not record any of the notes. So this was a major undertaking because none of these were, we had a lot of the, so like the sprinkler systems for residential, which we are taking out the requirement for residential. We changed shall to may so that we have guidelines if somebody wishes to put in a sprinkler system, but we do not require it in your single-family residences.
Which the code actually calls for that if you enact the full code, right?
That is correct.
So we're saying, no, we don't want that.
That we allow that. So townhouses, so you have adjacent walls and stuff like that, we're still requiring it. So you, at that point, you own this townhouse and there's 3 townhouses together, you're going to sprinkle it because you're going to directly affect your neighbors because there's no space. But around here, we really don't see the townhouses. We have space in between our individual single-family homes, so there's not a big need for that. And so that is a prohibitive. Hey, we don't want to build a new because sprinkler systems they're not cheap. They're not cheap to maintain, not cheap to inspect and keep maintained and up to date. So that is something that we felt didn't fit Coffeyville. So that's where these codes were, just to make sure that we're taking care of Coffeyville citizens and we're not imposing any undue burden or grief to be able to build their dream homes. So these codes the main reason for codes aren't necessarily for the person that's there right now as well. So you may be fine with having your hot and neutral reversed on your electric. That's a big, all over the place, people have the hot and neutral reversed. Or you may be fine, and this may sound strange, but if you go home and look at a 3-pronged outlet, does it look like a smiley face on it, or is it upside down? It's supposed to be upside down with the ground on top. A lot of people, well, I'd rather it looks better the other way and they want the other way, but there's a safety reason that it is turned over. And so it's these codes, well, I may be fine with it, but the kid that comes in and moves after you've moved away, that may be the reason that they cause an accident or a fire. So it's not only for your safety, well, even if you feel like, oh, I'll be fine with it, it doesn't bother me, but it's for the future generations of Coffeyville as well. One thing that we want to do is keep our codes up to date moving forward as well. So 2021 is coming out already. We won't plan to just jump right into that, but we're not going to wait 7 years to do this again. Since we already have this, we can go through and okay, these were the changes and updates that were made between 2018 to 2021. They provide that to you. We can get that as a separate book. These are the changes, the wording, whether it's been moved to a new location, so that we can keep this up to date versus rebuilding from scratch again. So
Yeah.
Sounds great. Yes. Thank you, Thomas.
Yes,
Thank
you,
you,
Thomas.
Thomas and Matt
Matt.
and
Mark.
Paul and Mark and
Yeah.
you, Bob, for going through all this.
And
It's been a
then-
long year, I know.
Then, ordinance, the G21-2 is just adopting the International Fire Code ordinances. It's in a separate, complete separate chapter as well, so that's why they were split up.
Split up like
But
that, yes.
it's the same thing as for all the other building codes. It just pertains to the fire code itself, so that's why they're separated.
Okay. Good. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Thomas or comments?
On these facilities, new construction or remodeling where they do require sprinkler systems, some of the areas are pretty antiquated on our water supply.
Mhm.
Where does the burden lie on updating that so you can do the sprinkler system?
I'm not sure where that would
As
follow.
far as the supply?
Supply water to.
It is one of those, if it's a standard supply line, of course, with new construction, that'll be dictated in the plans. And that will be basically from a point to the end user on new construction. But as far as if
Most
we
of them are 1-inch
require it
supply
going
lines.
from 1-inch line
Yeah.
to 2-inch line on those, then we have to address that on our situation.
I think that would be, so if you're talking the supply line from the main to the
Yes.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be, I think that would fall under the property owner's purview typically.
Well, we would have, as
Yeah.
far as the tap and those to make two, is we have to get it from there to you.
Right. I mean, if it's required by the city, then we provide it, right?
If we are changing your existing to upgrade your facility. Now, when you go to new construction, then it goes back
That's a little
to the new
different, yeah.
construction. But should we sit there and say that you need to increase your volume, and this is what was put in, it is one of those, we'll assist on that.
If no other questions, I'll move to approve ordinance G21-01 as presented. Are we gonna do all three of these at once, or?
No, we have to do them
just
separate.
Okay.
Mhm. I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Mayor Van Oster to approve ordinance G-21-01 as presented. Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
I move to approve ordinance G-21-02 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Doan, seconded by Commissioner Bauer to approve ordinance G-21-02 as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
I'll move that we approve Charter Ordinance 28 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maxon to approve Charter Ordinance 28 as presented. Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Thank you,
for all your
Thomas.
work on this. Yes.
Okay, our next item is Resolution R-21-16, which is a resolution to approve the Cdbg grant contract with the Kansas Department of Commerce. Our Director of Engineering, Thomas Osborne, will make comments.
Thank you again, Mayor, Commissioners. Last October, the city chose to submit a portion of town between Klein and Newark and then 4th to 8th Street for a CDBG grant to reconstruct the streets in that area. We did receive that grant, and this is just the contract with CDBG formalizing that grant award that dictates the budget and the requirements as far as environmental reviews and Davis-Bacon wage, all the stuff that goes with the CDBG grant. Be happy to answer any questions.
I think it's
This
another
one's a
good area.
50-50.
It's a 50/50, yes.
No questions here.
The
I
only-
think this is another good one, Thomas.
Just out of a curiosity, and maybe Stephanie can help with this one, and I'm not asking you guys to have this answer right off the top of your heads, but in the last year, do you know how many grant funds we received as a community?
I'm not sure.
I will say we're working on that for our State of the City.
Okay.
So we should have that number.
It was just true, I mean, when you look at our taxpayers and our tax base.
Yep.
All these grant funds we can apply for and achieve saves our city a tremendous amount of money. And
Yes.
It does need to be called out for what it is, so, thank you guys for all your work on it.
Yes. Thanks a lot. We've been very fortunate to receive those that we have and to do what we've been able to do for Coffeyville with them.
So for no other questions, I'll move to approve resolution R 2116 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Mayor Van Oster to approve Resolution R-21-16 as presented. Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxson.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is a report from our city manager.
Mayor, Commissioners, first I'd like to thank staff for all they do. It is one of those that the ordinance related to our building codes, I will say that we have received many calls from other cities and asking what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I do think that it is a worthwhile cause. It is important to our future, but we took on something, or they did. I want to say they did. Took on something that is unique to start from scratch. And some of our sister cities that are very, very close to us are, how is this being done and how are you getting this incorporated to the safety of citizens? So I do want to commend that department. You know, they've done a great job. I do want to thank Electric. They are still, you know, of course we'll have Mike Day, Stephanie Day, you know, as we go on. It is one of those that they are still working through this. And as I said, because of the actions taken by the electric utility, by Mike and by Stephanie, in all working together, this very well could at least lower the burden of repayment on the taxpayers. And we are hoping, and Mike is still working, is to keep that as low, if not net, minimal, to the ratepayers of the city of Coffeyville. So I do want to commend them, and it's an ongoing battle. They are still having meetings daily. The state has become more involved in it. It is Oklahoma jumped out in the gun. They got out there first, and then, of course, Kansas came in, and Texas is still trying to find where they're at. So we'll know more going down. We'll keep the commission informed, but it is an ongoing. But they did a fantastic deal, and they're still working every day to try to come up with a remedy and a solution. So they'll keep you informed. Other than that, all the departments, we're actually starting to talk about spring. We've had some great days. It is they're gearing up. We're making sure things are getting ready, but they do have some winter projects that they're wanting to close out. So I just want to thank them for what they're doing. I don't know if you heard this morning in the agenda item that we pulled off tonight because we had a change in cost, but it is one of those that when I came to the city, it was a situation where these people had to sacrifice, but they took it upon themselves. I didn't have to ask. It is one of those to make this thing work and to hold the mill levy the last 2 years, and you know the situation that we're in, it is one of those, it's always been a need instead of a want. But there comes that time where the duct tape and baling wire doesn't work anymore, and you got to buy something. but it isn't without pain to them, because they so wish that that duct tape and baling wire worked even more. But I just want to commend them. They are truly out for the citizens. They truly go without to make this work, and they are so creative of coming up instead of saying we give up and we just can't do it, we can't that. They will always find a solution. So I just want to thank all the departments are doing that. Fire, police. I could tell you stories about giving up a helicopter magazine that didn't know that was being a subscription. But they stopped that. They did. They said, why were we paying for a subscription? Of course, I think at one time there was talk about a helicopter, but it is one of those that they're looking under every rock to sit there and see if we can find something that will help us do better for the citizens of Coffeyville. So I'm going to blow that horn this time. I won't do that, but I do want to thank them. They're just doing so much with so less. So we'll keep plugging. We'll keep trying to improve. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
You don't have any? No. Thank you, Mark, very much. Our comments from commissioners and staff. Do you have anything, commissioners?
So I want to thank the Midland Theater Board folks for coming this evening with their presentation. Very, very well done. Appreciate y'all's efforts very much. Also, Tracy and I attended a meeting this last week along with Mark and Stephanie with the USB 445 and Daryl and the college, Dr. Thornburg and Jeff Morris and two of their trustees, and it was a very productive, I think very productive meeting. We look forward to having a good working relationship going forward. So,
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I'm looking at the sales tax. We're rocking again.
Yeah.
I mean, knock on wood, we're only in the second month. Yeah. Looks good.
It's all Stephanie's doings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir.
Now, you know what happens when it falls, right?
Yeah. It's also your fault, right?
Right. And I just want to ask a question because we were talking about our events in February and everything, and I know Jim Bradshaw is here this evening. Can you tell me, I know you are still working on water breaks because I've seen that we've had some more. How many did we finally wind up having, unfortunately?
Well, we're still counting. Still repairing. They have slowed down a lot. We're averaging about 8 a week now, but they have slowed down a lot. So
Okay.
We'll have a total where we get our
Okay.
about 8.
Okay. I knew you were still working on that. I just thought it was ironic that last week and the week before, the street sweeper is cleaning up so well. What you spent 2 weeks before that putting down to maintain safety. And I just, but
Downtown looks very good.
yes,
Downtown
the streets do look very, very good when you're going on that. And I thank everybody once again for everything all the departments did during that horrific 2 weeks. It was, as Mr. Cook said, it was like no other that we have seen.
Hopefully we'll never see again.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Do we have anything else? Okay. Then right now, we do have an executive session. Do we want to take a break before for a few minutes?
I
Or
could use a break. Yeah.
okay, for about a 5-minute break before, and then we'll come back and we'll call our executive session to order.
Took my mask up.
Yes, sir.
Hey, well,